Okay, ji. Good morning, Assalamualaikum everyone, and Ramadan Mubarak to everyone. Sorry, we got a little bit delayed. It happens very rarely that as a pathologist I get called, and so I was in the OR today for like up until 5 a.m. So just FYI, pathology people, if you are in the list, it does happen that you may get called. And then I slept and I woke up for the first time in my life. I had 50 missed calls. So then there were two other hospitals calling in. So rarely, but it does happen. So anyway, so sorry about the delay today, and so we'll get started. This is our second webinar of this year on SOAP. Obviously, the timing, as you guys all would be, applying, sorry, waiting for the match result, and we hope and wish that nobody will have to go through the SOAP, but we know for sure that obviously at least half, if not more, will have to go through this cycle eventually. So we have a great panelist today. I'll start with our very own Gulrez. Obviously, I think everyone knows Gulrez, doesn't need any more introduction, but just FYI, he's a co-chair of YPC this year again. Then I have Munis Irza, and I guess everyone knows Munis too. So he's also a co-chair. And going to Namira, I mean, she's just Namira Jamshed. I guess we'll just stop there. And but the new panelist we have today is Dr. Azuba Gulrez. And I thought there's only one Gulrez in our actually world, but I've got to know there's another one. So welcome, Zuba. She's a PGY2 at Poplar Bluff Regional Medical Center. So we've already delayed, so we'll just get to the business, and we'll start with the Zuba as she has a PowerPoint presentation. So Zuba, please go ahead.
Uh, can you see my screen? Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so this is a little PowerPoint for supplemental offer and acceptance program as coming from a candidate who already I myself matched into SOAP in 2023. So after the match results, they're going to come out on Monday, March 17th. And on March 17th, candidates will find out if they matched or not, and the programs will find out if they have spots available or not, if they have matched all their spots or not. And the vacant positions that will be left after March 17th, that will be filled through the SOAP. And the timeline of SOAP events is uh, is something like this. On 17th March, around 9:30, the school officials they will have access to the unmatched applicants. Around 10 a.m. Eastern time, the applicants will learn if they have matched either through their email or through the R3 system. And the SOAP eligible unmatched and or partially matched applicants, they'll have access to the list of the unfilled programs in the NRMP's R3 system under the SOAP tab. So at around 11 a.m., the SOAP applicants they can start preparing their applications in the application service or any process that is required by the programs. An important point is that the applicants or their representatives they cannot communicate with the program until contacted by the program itself during SOAP. So then on 18th March around 8 a.m. the programs they start reviewing their applications and to their designated application service. Around 11:30, the programs they begin creating their SOAP preference list in the R3 system, and the program they start contacting the applicants on 18th March. On 19th March, the programs will continue reviewing the applications and they will conduct interviews, creating their certifying SOAP preference list in the R3 system. So on the 20th March, the around 8 a.m. The 8:55 is basically the deadline to certify the program preference list for the round one offers. And at 9 a.m., the first round of SOAP starts. So 9 a.m. is the first round of SOAP, and the SOAP ineligible applicants they may begin accepting the offers from non-SOAP or non-match participating programs. And 11 a.m. would be the deadline for the applicants to accept or reject the round one offers. The round two, 11:55 would be the deadline to modify or recertify the program preference list for the round two. And at 12 p.m., the applicants, they receive the round two offers and they have time till 2 p.m. to accept or reject it. Then round three, it begins at 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. would be the deadline to accept or reject the offers. The round four, it begins at 6 and it ends at 8:30. And 8:30, the programs they update their number of remaining unfilled positions on the list of the unfilled programs. And at 9 p.m., the soap ends. So, some rules of the soap, I would suggest that let's just make sure to read up and discuss with your seniors about the rules and violations. And you can absolutely not contact with the programs by any means during so. While I was a soap candidate, it was new to me because I myself didn't know that I'm not allowed to contact the programs. So this is something which is very important to know. And so when to start preparing for soap? So now would be the best time to start preparing for it. Start reaching out to seniors, friends, friends of friends. And what would be a really good idea is to find the list of programs who actually have a trend of matching into soap, because there's a high chance that they would again be in soap. So find out the list of programs that have a trend of matching in soap. And in addition to this, think of specialities that you could possibly apply to, not just the specialty you primarily applied to. Like I remember a year when there were so many emergency medicine spots in soap, and a lot of people ended up matching into emergency medicine. So get multiple personal statements ready for it. Like if you're applying to your internal medicine candidate and some other spots from emergency medicine go into soap, so you should have multiple personal statements prepared for it. And you can apply to as many as 45 programs. So choose wisely, and you can even reapply to programs that you applied in the primary, in the main match cycle. So uh, you can change the personal statement and the LORs while applying into SOAP, but you cannot change the CV. That will remain the same as it was when you applied primarily in the main match. So it would be a really good idea to have a list of friends, colleagues, family members who can help you out with the logistics of searching the programs if you have to participate in the SOAP. And if you end up being unmatched, announce it to the world. Tell your seniors, post it on Twitter, tell your mentors, friends that you've been unmatched, and uh, don't reply to soap interview offer by Gmail in excitement. Something I did. And in addition to this, just have faith, sit tight. Everyone has their own timeline of being matched. And thank you so much for listening.
Azuba, can you just go over your process? Like, how did everything work out for you? Like, how did the offer come in? Like, how did you get the interview call? Can you just explain
Yes.
from your personal experience
Yes.
about that?
So for me, I was I think it was 11th March or 13th March was the match day in 2023. So I was unmatched. I reached out to all my seniors, seniors from Nishtar, seniors from APPNA. I reached out to everyone. I told them that I'm unmatched, and then I made a list of. I did not apply to all 45 spots. I applied to 42 spots. I left 3 spots open to see if I can find there's something new comes up, or I see that okay something else I'm interested in. So I just applied to 42 programs. I left 3 spots, and the next day I got an interview, phone interview, and which was followed by a virtual interview at 11 a.m. And it was just like any other interview during the main cycle. And it was a transitional year program. And post which I got another interview too. It was a family medicine interview, and the same cycle there were a lot of emergency medicine spots open as well. Then the next day was nothing. It was I did not get any interview or anything. And the following day, I got an offer. I did not get an offer during the first round. So don't get demotivated if you do not get an offer during first round. So a lot of programs they send offers to IMGs during the second round. A lot of my friends they also got offers during second round. So I did not get an offer during first round. So I got an offer during the second round of soap, and I accepted it and I went ahead with it.
Great.
Um,
And Azuba, are you visa requiring? Were you
No,
visa
I'm a US
requiring?
citizen. I'm a US citizen.
Okay, all right. Because internal medicine is pretty rare to get in so far visa requiring, but we saw a lot in family medicine and peds for last few years.
Do you mind sharing your scores as well, Azuba?
Yes, I had score step one was in 220, step two was in 230s, and I did not have a step three at that point.
Okay. So yeah, for I think if you're non-visa requiring, it helps a big time. That's great. Anything else that you'd like to add before we switch over?
I would just like to add that I think doing a good research of the programs that have a trend of going into soap, I think that's really good idea. Because when I was in soap, I was literally clueless that what programs have a trend of going into soap.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you so much. All right, so great. Thank you for sharing all these details. I think it's very helpful. And moving on to Namira.
Yeah.
And Namira, do you have a presentation also, you said?
Yes, I'm just going to
Okay.
do, it's not very different from what Zuba
Okay.
said, but I think it's a
Mm,
little more focused on
okay.
IMGs.
Sorry,
So,
Namira, before you start,
G.
we have Umar Tariq also. We have seen them after quite a long time, so it's very
Assalamualaikum,
nice
Umar.
for
Welcome back.
welcome, Umar. It's very good to see you, man. So we'll go to Umar later on, but yeah, please go ahead, Namira.
Okay, so I'm just going to give more of an IMG perspective. I think everybody knows what SOAP is, but basically it is a process that allows those who are unmatched to apply for unfilled positions, but it's during the match week. Um, if you want to participate in SOAP, you must be registered in NRMP main residency match. I think I put a message on our forum that if you are not um, uh, registered in the NRMP match, please do that. You must have your ECFMD certification by match week. Okay. And then you must be eligible to start a US residency program by July 1. And you have to be unmatched or partially matched. You cannot apply for SOAP if you're already matched, which sounds like common sense, but there are people who ask that question. So how do you participate? If you are eligible, just like Azuba told you, you will receive an email from NRMP on Monday of match week. I recently got an email from NRMP that where it goes to the coordinators that you must click on the tab that says eligible for SOAP. If you don't do that, it will not take you to the next window. You will use your ERAS to apply to the unfilled programs and you'll start at 9 a.m. And then programs will review you and they may conduct interview by phone or video. And then as Zuba told you, you'll have 3 rounds to apply. Now, how do you apply? You will your applications are submitted to 3 ERAS, just like regular match. You can apply to maximum 45 programs. You cannot contact programs directly during SOAP. You cannot have any direct communications unless a program contacts you. If you violate this rule, you will disqualify. And then the list of unfilled programs will be released in the NRMP system while you're applying for SOAP. And only SOAP eligible applicants can view and apply to these programs. Nobody else will be able to see this. So if you've already matched, you are not going to be able to see the SOAP eligible list. And so you cannot ask someone else, yeah, which programs are unfilled. Now, these are some IMG specific considerations. What type of residency programs participate in SOAP? Traditionally, it's been prelim internal medicine, family medicine, pediatrics, and surgery. Prelim includes surgery as well, and they sometimes also have advanced specialties, but these rarely have SOAP spots. Do you need a visa to participate? You will require visa eventually, but that will depend on whether you match or not. Some unfilled programs may only accept US citizens or permanent residents. So when you are applying for your SOAP programs, please go to their website. And if they have said, we will only accept US citizens or permanent resident, please don't waste your time applying to those for SOAP. Okay, they're not going to magically review your application and be okay. Especially in SOAP, program directors don't want to have that hassle of going through applications that are not eligible. So if they say US citizen, permanent resident, don't apply. How competitive is SOAP for IMGs? It is very competitive for both US and international graduates. So not just for IMGs, but if you have strong scores, you have US clinical experience, and you have well-prepared application, things that Azuba talked to you about, make sure that before when you get your interview, you go research the program as fast, as much as you can. And then, if you have an interview, you can apply for it. Can you update your application? You can update it, but only before SOAP starts. So if you need to update your application, you have to do it before SOAP. Once SOAP starts, you cannot update your application or make changes. After SOAP, let's say you did not match, NRMP will release a list of all the unfilled positions publicly. You can then contact the programs directly and inquire about SOAP vacancies. But what should you do if you don't match? You have a couple of options. You can look at research or clinical observerships, continue doing that to improve your applications. You can continue to look for prelim and transitional positions, or you reapply next year with the stronger applications. So that's actually pretty much all I have. Just going through a couple of things, and we can open up for questions.
Great. Thank you very much, Namira. And before we take questions, let me start with Munis. Munis, would you like to add anything about SOAP, please?
Sure. I think mostly. Thank you, everyone. Sorry, I'm still in the hospital, so I think mostly, to be honest, soap is all about connections. I'm being honest. I'm being like so. Anyone who's going into soap, you should not have a lot of like expectations from soap. I imagine soap as well, okay, but it's all about connection in soap. So you should apply broadly, but so try to look for those programs where you know anyone. But please don't email or reach out to the program like director. I think I had already talked to program coordinator or someone. Reach out to the residents like whom you know, but otherwise it's mostly soap is mostly a place for AMGs, but IMGs do match like Azuba match. I know a lot of people like from last year who match in soap as well still. And then mostly I think the chance is with the IM spot or family medicine spot, because most of the places at TY they want someone who's not going into IM, and most of the surgery prelim spots do go open, but they don't take us, especially the IMGs are like anyone who's not interested in surgery. But you guys can try. Like if you know someone, if you know if you're a really good friend, someone, and they have like a surgery prelim spot, yeah, you can try. But overall, I think to be honest, don't have high hopes, but you should give it a try. Like for me, I was about to sleep. I didn't even apply in the program when I matched in Grand Rapids. I just applied like 10 programs and I was about to sleep. And then someone texted me from US, hey, there are a lot of spots open, in like 5 spots open in Grand Rapids. Would you want to apply? And I just applied, and it just clicked at that spot. It was just like because of Allah's help, it just worked out. But overall, you should not have high hopes of the soap. Thank you, Siddiq bhai.
Sure. Thank you for your input. So I think it really what we have seen in last several years. Generally, yes, soap, we have seen Kate usually doesn't work out. The chances are extremely low. But year in, year out, there are specialties. For example, when EM, collapsed, like we had 500 spots for EM, that year we saw so many of Pakistanis. I think they went into soap and they got matched in soap as compared to in any other year, and the number of Pakistanis matched into ER. So that was, I think, 3 years ago. Last year, we saw a similar thing happen with PEDS, and that's something that we have never seen before. Like literally, I had some mentees who got 12, 10, 8 interviews in SOAP, and in the main match, they did not have that much of interviews. So generally speaking, internal medicine for a visa requiring IMG for SOAP, it doesn't really work usually. But we have seen that year in and year out for other specialties. So you just have to be smart about it, that if you really have like a specific preference that you just want to do internal medicine or pediatrics or this and that. For example, pathology, at one point in time when I was starting my residency, we used to have so many spots in soap, and last year there was just nothing. I mean, I think there was only one spot. So it just every year we kind of the specialties, they change. So keep an eye, and be if you're open, you might find something in there. So moving on to you, Gulriz. Sorry, Namira, you
I,
have
I
something to
think
say.
I just want to make a quick comment that every year is different, and there is a possibility that this year we will see a lot more unfilled spots after the soap, close to maybe May or June. So you guys should keep an eye out for that. With the visa situation going on, there may be people not getting visas, and those spots will open up. The problem is going to be that around May, June, they're going to be looking for people who already have visas. So people who either have citizenship, green card, or are doing prelim years, or are in transitional programs, or already have visas. So just be aware of that. And I think that yes, SOAP is hard, and majority of those spots may be even going to IMGs. But I hope that you don't go into SOAP with that mindset. I think if you go interview with that mindset, it's going to reflect in your interview. You have to go with the mindset that if they ask you for an interview, they're interested in you. Okay. And I know one mentee of mine who matched in SOAP for family medicine as well in Alaska. So just keep a positive attitude.
I totally agree. And I think when you get an interview in SOAP, your chances are actually very high as compared to an interview in a general, match, because I mean the programs are equally desperate as you, and they want to have good candidates, and obviously they're going to be filtering a lot of things out, and they're going to be only interviewing people who they are really interested. So chances will be definitely high if you get an interview. Okay, Gulre, is over to you.
So I agree with everybody here. So biggest thing that can help you for a successful SOAP is being proactive. There is a question, what are the chances of an IMG matching in SOAP with visa? So that's a moving target. When we had so many open spots in EM and last year in PEDS, many candidates matched in SOAP. Siddiq bhai looks okay. Siddiq bhai was frozen to a point. I was like, maybe he left. So, so assess the situation at that very point. If there is a specialty that is struggling, FM could do it, PEDS could do it. I don't think emergency medicine will come back to that point again. So look at those specialties that where there are open spots. I know Monis mentioned transitional surgery, prelim surgery, but we'll see Umar Bhai's views on it as well, because he's on the flip side. He thinks that surgery programs really like to take prelim candidates so that they can fish out good candidates from it and then take them to categorical. But we'll take Umar Bhai's take on it as well. He has a different say. But be proactive. Start working on the application aspects right now. Prepare a personal statement for specialities that have historically been unmatched in the last 3-4 years. We already know them. We just mentioned them. Start working on that aspect. Make sure that you have an active phone number. I will research this aspect out because I heard Skype is closing in May. So Skype is still open. Um, Skype is still open till May, so you can use it, but then there is Google Phone and other numbers as well. But I have heard there have been technical issues with it. So you need to have an active phone number because most SOAP interviews actually happen over the phone. Be prepared at all times, be dressed up as well. Because Dr. Jamshid just put in a couple numbers here. Looks like that 5 to 10% for IMGs requiring visa, and a little higher for non-visa requiring candidates. But frankly, as Moon kind of pointed out, it does support non-visa / American medical graduates more. But things have changed over the last few years. We have seen so many candidates match in SOAP. It's just that you need to be active, proactive. You need to be prepared for it. Don't show up if there is a Zoom call. Don't show up in your night dress. Make sure that you're dressed up and you're professional and you're prepared for it. So it will be very difficult when you get the result that you have remained unmatched. But remember, it happens to almost 50% of the candidates who are IMGs. You will have to gather yourself, take up yourself again, and then go into the SOAP with a positive mindset, because this is not the last part. This is a long race. There will be SOAP, there will be post scramble, there will be random openings all through the year. Another point that Dr. Jamshed alluded to, that maybe there might be issues with visa. We don't know yet. We don't know yet, and we don't want to speculate anything right now. but we will see how things evolve. And of course, we will be here to support you guys in any way possible. But eh, don't be with the negative mindset. Like, you need to come up with an alternate. If you went unmatched, start looking at your CV, see if you can come up with a research position, see if you can beef up any other sections of your CV, and be better prepared for the next match as well, while you keep an eye out for other opportunities.
Totally agree with what Gulrez you have mentioned, and but just keep in mind that context. So for example, obviously every year we get hundreds and hundreds of texts and requests, and so okay, please help us out with this. The contact doesn't mean कि आप left and right, but not knowing people, you just reach out. Contacts are established with time. And I mean, it's never too late. You start building your context now, and just very small things. For example, even now, we're not going to take any questions as anonymous. They're just This is a very close group of 100 people, and we have mentioned it numerous times. We're not going to be taking, and probably we'll just end anonymous posting on Facebook also. And one of the reason why is, so for example, someone, just a small example of contact when building, knowing people, someone who is posting consistently, and all of you guys are consistently with their names, and so you can see that mentee, that applicant, that he or she is very proactive. Now we kind of know. And then, so once you reach out, so even though I do not know you directly, but I kind of have seen you, that you're very active, and that also gives me a slighter input on you, that what kind of person you are. And then you would at least have a chance that when you reach out, I'll be like, oh yeah, I know you, have seen your post so much, as compared to you posting anonymously all the time and every single time, and there's not really much to build in. But that's just one example. So moving on to Omar Tariq. Omar bhai, please go ahead. And I think you are in the co-host, so you should be able to turn on the video if you would like. Omar, can you unmute yourself? Yeah.
Assalamualaikum. Can somebody unmute?
Sorry,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Oh, okay, perfect. Sorry, I'm driving at the same time, and I brought some kids for to get some stuff. Anyhow, very quickly, I'll give my pet peeve. This is based on analyzing the data of match every year for past 10 years, including SOAP data. The numbers have been variable for the past 10 years on the percentage of IMGs, Pakistani IMGs that have matched in SOAP. It has ranged anywhere from 5 to 15%. Sometimes it was lower, but then we had some anomaly years, like the year everybody's talking about emergency medicine, when there were like 500 unmatched applicants in emergency medicine. Every specialty has its slump. Even radiology had its slump in like 2014, 2015. There were like more than 400 unmatched applicants in radiology. So just be mindful that there will be some good specialties like EM, like anesthesia, like radiology, like plastics, that would open up during SOAP. So my recommendation to everyone is that apply to 25 to 35 programs in the specialty of your choice. Let's say if you're a medicine candidate, hold on one second, Data. So if you're applying in medicine, apply to 25 to 35 internal medicine programs, then apply to 5 to 10 prelim surgery programs. Apply to, I'll say, 5 to 10 programs, which are like good specialties. For example, anesthesia, medicine, family medicine, radiology, anything that keep your mind open. Don't limit yourself to just the one specialty you apply to. I've seen people matching into radiology, anesthesia, family medicine, emergency medicine that way. So just do that. And other than that, just the typical stuff that everybody has said so far. Don't reach out to the applicants. But the reason I emphasize prelim surgery so much is because I have seen at least 25 to 35 applicants get into internal medicine by doing 1 year of prelim and then apply next year. Now, keep in mind, when they're applying next year, they use that 12-month experience of prelim surgery as a US clinical experience, as elective, as internship. So that opens up the programs that have a crazy requirement of 6 months of US clinical experience, stuff like that. Also, a lot of times I've also seen that candidates who were not able to match, they did prelim surgery, and the next year they were able to match into orthopedic surgery, into neurosurgery, just because they did 1 year of prelim surgery. So for that reason, agar kuch aur nahi milta, to I really recommend कि 1 साल prelim surgery कर लो. 5 to 10 programs. of prelim surgery, and you can always see in prelim surgery what kind of applicants that program has. Sometimes even if you do a good job, the PDs of these programs will help you. But at the same time, I've done a prelim surgery, and I also feel that it's the toughest year of your life. I used to feel the scars are not worth it, but now after becoming an attending, I beg to differ. That's all I had. Thank you, everyone.
Great, thank you, Amar. So yeah, I think we can move on to the questions, guys. Please feel free to type in the QA and raise hands. So the first one we have from Mohammed Mubin. So please go ahead, Mubin, and ask a question.
Hello, thank you so much for supporting. So my question is, so let's suppose if we match in a prelim IM, so what are the chances that we're gonna go into the categorical next year if we apply to the main match? And there's another question that has been all over the place, that if you do one year of PG1 as a prelim, then ECFMG won't sponsor your visa to do categorical again. So you have to find spots of PG2. So is that true, or is just it's not true?
Namira, you want to take this, please?
Yeah, I already put it in the text. You cannot go from PGY1 prelim internal medicine to PGY1 categorical internal medicine. These are possible maybe in general surgery, and I think the way they do that is that the prelim experience is different, and it's a very competitive residency program and training. But in internal medicine, family medicine, pediatrics, J1 visas will not be allowed to do that. If you have an H1B, then you can. And of course, if you have a green card, then you can. But if you're on a J1, you cannot go from that to a categorical.
But I want to quickly add. So but yeah, but definitely people should go for the prelim spot instead of not having anything. So definitely,
Yeah, I'm not, of course, I'm not saying
yeah,
that they shouldn't. I'm just saying that they should not, they should know that you cannot do that.
yes, yes. So
Yeah.
most of the time, these people end up like getting a PGY2 spots, like especially in the new programs, and there's some program openings as like. So, but I think it's better to get something.
And having
I agree.
a year of US clinical experience that is in a dedicated training is
I
much better
agree.
than not having any
Yes.
experience. And most of the time, I cannot say 100% certainly, those PGY1 spots actually transition into a PGY2 spot as long as you do a very good job with what you're doing. The program tries to accommodate you and see if they can come up with a solution for you, not even if they're not in their own program, maybe in their sister program that is come, because most of our programs are community affiliated. They have different sites all across the system. I think
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mumbai
one
also
of
has a
the,
session.
I
yeah,
just want to
and I
comment
think
on
it.
the,
Gee,
I'm sorry, I recently saw a post on the Association of the Internal Medicine Program Directors. When a program director posts on that listserv that I have a prelim PGY1, even if they have a J1 who is looking for a PGY2 spot, the response from other program directors is very high. Like, because a program director is asking the other program directors, that tells them already that this is, and they will say it's something like, we have a great prelim PGY1, and he or she is looking for a PGY2 spot. Unfortunately, we're not able to offer it. If you have an opening, please let me know. And then there's direct communication. So if you do well, just like what Gulrez was saying, and your program director has supports you, even if they don't take you in their own program, if they actually ask another program to do it, that is a win-win situation for you.
yeah,
I think
and
Umar was before me
yeah,
when
I was about to say not that you do well. I think you have to screw up bad. Like, I mean, for a year, if you cannot prove yourself, it means that you're just not there. That yet that nobody wants to support you for a PGY2 when you've already done a PGY 1 year. So it's gonna be hard not to get PGY2 if you just do the job in a way that it is required for you to do. So before Omar, I think we'll take a comment from Ahmed. Ahmed, please unmute yourself and
Yeah,
yes.
good morning, everyone. So yeah, I think one thing is that this repetition, which is not allowed, is due to the visa. So people on J1 cannot repeat the year. So, for example, if someone gets a start internal medicine residency and in PGY 1 year they want to apply for internal medicine again, they cannot do that. So it's the restriction due to visa. I don't think there is people who don't require visa. It's my understanding they can do that. So other thing is that I agree with Khurram bhai that if you got a prelim internal medicine spot, prelim spots are actually highly competitive. They are way more competitive than categorical spots, because these are the spots used by people who wants to match in dermatology and other very competitive fields. So if you get a prelim spot, whether it's internal medicine prelim, transitional year, you have a very good chance of actually not only getting match at the PGY2 internal medicine comparative program, but other specialties. I knew a person who had relatively lower scores, and he got PGY1 internal medicine at Harvard University, which is an okayish program, and he ended up matching in neurology at one of the top 10 programs in US. So what I'm saying is that I agree with Khurram bhai that you really need to screw up really bad if you don't end up getting anywhere after completing PGY1 at an ACGME accredited residency, because that is like the highest form of USC anyone can get. So that is very important. That never underestimate the importance of a training program, whether even if you get even prelim surgery, it's way better than just staying unmatched. So this, and I think recently I came across a news. I'm not sure what would happen. I think Crozer Chester, it's in the news that they have filed bankruptcy. So they are going to be closed. So they had, I think, what, 7 residency program, including internal medicine, psychiatry, as well as I think family medicine, peds. So I think just keep in mind things like that. Sometimes what can happen is they may not go bankrupt and they still retain their spots. So sometimes these places start getting people outside the match. So just keep an eye on that.
Great. Thanks, Hemant. Omar, you had something to say. Uh, Omar, would you like to go ahead? And in the meantime, Arslan, we are trying to promote you to panelist. Uh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. So just to add to what Ahmed was saying, prelim internal medicine is actually typically way more competitive than categorical medicine. Most of the people, if they can match in prelim medicine, they are able to match in categorical medicine. But let's say somehow if you're unable to match into categorical medicine and you got this pot and soap of getting into prelim medicine, in general, you're competing with these applicants who are going into dermatology, uh, radiology, all these high-end specialties. So it rarely happens that you would get a prelim spot. And yes, like everybody said, going from prelim IM to categorical IM, it has its own visa challenges. It's very tough. That's why I recommend typically prelim surgery to internal medicine. I've seen that shift. Prelim medicine to categorical medicine, it's actually, it can be other way around. People switch from categorical medicine into advanced specialty, but not the other way around. So that is one part. The second part is like, I said before, if you do a good job during internship, the first year of prelim medicine or prelim surgery or transitional year, your likelihood of getting into a very good specialty or a very good program goes very high. Because now you're getting letters from 3 or 4 of your US attendings who have worked with you for a year. So, and they are willing, most of the times, willing to make phone calls for you. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Omar. Arslan, would you like to say something? Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Parvai. So, as everyone is saying, I just want to it's an example happened in my own program. So I graduated from University of Buffalo. और our program, my program में ये हुआ था कि we had 1 year where we took 1 prelim internal medicine, and the next year actually the program developed and created a second year seat for the same person. Or this happened in the next year too, when they took 3 prelim candidates who were initially supposed to be a prelim internal medicine, but they at the end of the year they requested the program director that we wanted to continue internal medicine. So the program director actually created 3 internal medicine second year seats for them, and they were being promoted and remained in the same program and kind of promoted into second year too.
Great. Thank you.
Siddiq bhai, there are some good questions. Let me throw them out
Yeah.
and you can assign them. So, I have a question. If you don't have any USCs in specialty like PEDS, should we still apply to PEDS if there are spots available? Azuba, Monis, Jamshid, Dr. Jamshid, whoever wants to take it.
It's hit or miss. I mean, seriously, I have seen like last year I saw pathology candidates like when unmatched. I mean, pathology is like, it's very specific CV. So even they were able to get some interviews, for example, a year before in EM and last year in PEDS. I don't know anyone did not match into SOAP in that, but at least they got interviews. It's really, in my opinion, that but the way I have seen it is that even if you did not have the, for example, experience, but now you had the letters, you wrote them an email or something, but you cannot write the email also. So the letter writer, I don't know if they can send them the letter that you have worked with them. Again, so general chances are like 5 to 15%. That those are the numbers. That's the actual stats. Now, if you do not have the experience of that, obviously the numbers is going to go very, very, very low. But I mean, there's always a chance. Anyone else would like to add into this? No experience is still
Umar
applying.
Bhai, Umar Bhai can go.
Um, I agree. I would very highly recommend, even if you don't have an experience, but that specialty has 400 open spots. The likelihood of you matching into that specialty versus, let's say, if your specialty has only 100 open spots, I would at least apply in 10 programs. And one thing that the biggest concern these programs have is when you're sitting with them and interviewing with them, doing phone interview, are you going to leave them next year when you get matched in your specialty of choice? So it's very important that you tell them, you satisfy them that no, you're here to stay, you're going to stay in the program. For us in general, for us Desis and Pakistanis in specific, getting a job, getting a residency, having a stability is way more important, more for most of us. So just satisfy that, okay, yes, I'm an internal medicine applicant, but this year there is a spot open in psychiatry, in radiology, in pathology, in EM, in family medicine. And once I match into your program, I'm happy being here, doing a good job, and graduating from your program. Being in America, having a stable job is way more important for me than going into the specialty of choice. So just keep that in mind. So I've seen this time and again, people switching specialties. One of the biggest ones I've seen is actually surgery applicants not matching in surgery and then getting matched into internal medicine and so. And there have been a lot of other options as well where people are switching specialties and so. And they have all graduated from residencies and done a good job. So go with an open mindset. It's always better to have a residency in hand in a different specialty than having no residency training at all. Thank you.
Yep. Agree.
I think Dr.
So
Jamshid
I
has a
think
comment.
as a program director, I cannot make such recommendations. We suffer for it in geriatric fellowship a lot, where people use geriatrics as a backup. I can tell you we had a fellow 2 years ago, now that he has graduated, who did exactly that, and we did not graduate him. Program directors are not stupid. What I would recommend is that if what your goal is, I want to come to the US and train here no matter what, I don't care what specialty I do, then if you say apply to pediatrics, go with the commitment to complete pediatrics, not with
Yes.
the intention that I'm going to switch, and just do pediatrics. Now, the reason general surgery residents easily switch to others is not because they want to switch, it's because they don't have an option. Once you don't match after second year, it becomes really, really hard. And on the J1 visa, you are limited. If you don't switch after 2 years, you're stuck. You're going to be having to find J1 PGY 3 prelim spot and then PGY 4 prelim spot or whatever else you have to do. So like I did that, I didn't have a choice. I had to switch. So when you go with that perspective to a program and apply for categorical program, I can make a case for myself. Look, yes, I wanted to do general surgery. I learned a lot. I learned so much, and I will bring that to family medicine. And now I have made a conscious decision that I do not want to keep going on with this journey. And I have consciously decided that I'm going to do family medicine and I will use my skills to my benefit. But don't go in with the intention that, I'm just going to switch next year anyways. It is really horrible for a program to go through that. And so again, as a program director, I cannot say that. I think that if you apply for pediatrics in unfilled positions or SOAP and you get it, stay committed to pediatrics, finish it, you will do well. Most of the IMGs, they end up doing well because you're all very hardworking.
So my 2 cents on this is use the personal statement really well. That's the only thing you can actually modify and make a case for yourself. As much as you are in this process, so historically, SOAP was called Scramble. Scramble was essentially like everyone was running behind each other and be like, how to fill these spots, how to fill these spots. Like, and the candidates like, oh, I need a spot, I need a spot. So that's how the word scramble came into being. And as much as it's stressful for you, it's very much stressful for the program as well. They lower down their standards, they lower down their filters, they use it as an opportunity to fill up the spots so that they don't go unmatched eventually. So somebody asked a question like 10-year YOG. I don't think a YOG. So there is a strong chance that there might be good candidates already there that might not have 10 years of YOG, but still you can try your luck. If you're especially a non-visa requiring candidate with 10 years of YOG, you might have a better shot at it at that time. So
Yeah,
I
so
think
yeah, most common question I think always is being asked about you do not have the letters of that specialty, but so this is what we have been talking about. So every year we have seen some particular specialty, like we discussed EM and PEDS last year, and we'll see how it goes this year. But you do not have the letters. Obviously, you're not gonna be their first preference. Like if I'm the program director and I see a candidate, generally what I've seen also is that usually, at least in internal medicine, they invite for people in SOAP who they already had like in the waiting list, and if they haven't matched. So they have already reviewed. So for example, the program had reviewed the CV of like, and then they shortlisted 200 people, but they interviewed only 100. Now they're gonna go through that 100 other, which because this is gonna save their time. So they're gonna go through this list, and if they are unmatched, they offer them the interview first. So that's generally the trend. But obviously, now if you do not have any experience in for whatever family medicine, you do not have the letters of recommendation in that specialty, you have nothing. The chances obviously are going to be it's going to be very unlikely to get an interview. But now you do not have the letter, so what can you do? You can still go ahead and submit whatever the letters you have in whatever specialty that you have. Like you have never worked in pediatrics, you have no letter, so, but there are 600 spots, for example, this year. What you gonna do? I mean, you should still take a chance and apply. And so that's why it's also important that you kind of keep track and see what are the general trends for last year and the year before, so you can prepare yourself beforehand. Any
You can
other?
also
Yeah.
be, yeah, and I think I really like the idea of using your personal statement. You can be honest. Program directors really like honesty. You can say, I applied for the match in internal medicine and I did not match. I'm now applying for SOAP and I've had to rethink my strategy. My goal is I'm a hardworking person. I have great scores and I have great letters of recommendations. And I have made a conscious choice to apply to pediatrics and complete that journey with full commitment. And that should be evident from the letters that you have that once I make a decision, I fully commit to it. You have to learn to market yourself, but the words cannot be from AI, they cannot be from another person. They have to be your words because they will come through. And I'd much rather take a person who's being honest about switching and is saying that they're going to be committed and complete than somebody else who has, I don't know, lower scores or does not look like a great application. So, all right.
one thing
We'll
that
raise
needs
other
to be
questions. Yeah.
one thing that needs to be clarified is scramble. A lot of things are at stake. So people might. So when the EM episode happened, we as IMGs are never prepared for EM because we don't even have the SLOE that they use, which is the standard letter of recommendation for emergency medicine. Yet programs honored the normal LORs from IM surgery for those candidates and offered them spots. So there is a lot of leeway with respect to your application because everyone knows you applied 8 months ago, your preferences can change, your choices can change, and programs are more flexible. So other question that I have is, I don't know if Umar Bhai would know this or not. Umar Bhai, what are the options for a US number right now? I have to research this, honestly. I couldn't find time to research. Or Ahmad Bhai, somebody who's like very active in the social media aspect, or Arsalan, anybody. What are the options for US number? I know Skype is there, Google phone is there, but Google phone apparently is not working anymore because you need to have a US geolocation for the US number. So any suggestions for like phone number?
Google Voice. Google Voice.
Yeah,
Just go
Google
to
Voice is not
voice.go.
working anymore. Unfortunately, unless कि वो आप geolocation अपनी जो है वो US show कर सको. As
Yeah,
soon
there
as
are
you leave,
so many apps. If you just Google second line, second phone number.
I think this
okay,
is something.
I'm looking it up. It says Google Voice, Skype number, text now, hushed, grasshopper, open phone, ding tone, Vonage. It seems like there's a lot.
I think this is something
Like Umar is
that
saying, you
kids
can
are,
just
yeah,
Google it. Yeah.
Google it. You guys can be way smarter than us at this time and figure it out how to get a US phone number in Pakistan. Somebody told me like you can literally get a US number in Pakistan for 5,000 rupees. So just figure it out. I think that's gonna be not that hard to get a US number. Okay, taking question from Hasib Ahmad. He's raised his hand for quite a bit. Hasib, unmute yourself and go ahead. Ask your question.
And Dr. Siddiq, there's an actually really good question, which we should have
Sure.
gone with first.
Okay.
What is a prelim year?
Thank you
Interesting. Go ahead.
everyone for supporting
Yeah.
us. My
Challenge, he
question is,
started. Okay, go ahead.
I would be applying to prelim surgery mainly. So, as Dr. Tarek mentioned, that you have to keep like to apply 30 to 35 programs and keep an option of 10 programs for you. So, what alternative do I can keep with me, and which specialty I should apply to, and the transition from that specialty to surgery, if possible, can be easy. So, need your opinion on that. Thank you.
Namira, do you want to answer both the surgery and about this prelim?
What? I'm so sorry. Ask again. So if you're in prelim applying, you want to apply for prelim surgery?
and he said, I think if he ends up applying to 30, 35 programs, prelim surgery, what should be his backup specialty you think will be good enough for him to get a number? He's a
Only
through and
get him into
through
surgery
surgery
match.
man.
There's no other backup specialty for surgery. So that's only
I don't
surgery.
know. I didn't apply to any backup. I just applied to general surgery, and my backup was actually research. General surgery is one place that if you don't match in prelim, so this is what my mentor told me. You apply for general surgery, and I already had a research spot. If you don't match, then you do research, and you need to do at least 2 years of research. If you really want another option, I think everybody will tell you to apply for internal medicine because that has the most spots. There's just, it's just common sense. You don't want to apply for family medicine, they won't take you. Pediatrics doesn't make sense. You can apply for transitional year, but that's really your options.
A follow-up
But
question on that. So if you do a transitional year, will it be still a problem if you get a categorical PGY1 IM next year?
it depends. So if there are actually transitional years that are IM and there are transitional years that are surgery. So like at Howard, they used to have a transitional surgery year, and they had a separate transitional IM year. And it is unclear from ECFMG that if you can do that, but you can move from transitional surgery to IM categorical, because so it all depends on what you do in your transitional year, right? If like at Howard, the transitional year, 11 months were surgery and 1 month was internal medicine. In the internal medicine, it was the opposite. 1 month general surgery and the rest was all medicine. So it has to show that you can do that, but there's not a lot of transitional spots. It's mostly
And
prelim.
yeah, and transitional years are not easy to get in either. I think
Yeah,
Ahmed
they're
Bhai
very
has some
hard. They're
thoughts on
actually
it as well.
harder than general surgery. I mean, general surgery, the prelims. So that's what I did. I did a transitional general surgery year. So that freed me up.
Ahmed Ryan?
Gulrez, if I can just quickly add one cent here.
You go ahead.
Just thank you, Ahmed. Really quick. If your long-term goal is to be a surgeon, it all depends on what your long-term goal is.
Yeah.
If your long-term goal is to be a surgeon, then of course, I will do half and half, apply to all the categorical surgery programs that are in the match, 10, 20, whatever. And then all the remaining spots that you have available, 25, 35, whatever it is, go for prelim surgery. If you have an open mindset, you're okay going into plastics, ortho, neuro, then apply to all the unfilled spots there. Sometimes you might get lucky, sometimes you might not get lucky, and then go with prelim surgery. If you are okay going into any specialty, then apply 30, 35 prelim surgery, and then look at the results of the match. Which specialty has most number of unfilled spots? Is it family medicine? Is it anesthesia? Is it radiology? Is it EM? From the people who have matched in EM, they are doing very, very good. We had a slump in EM for the time being. Now EM is back again, as one of the more competitive specialties like it used to be. Same thing with radiology. So if you have an open mindset, I will say go with the, in addition to your prelim spots, go with the specialty that has most unfilled spot. If your long-term goal is to be a surgeon no matter what, then of course, categorical, apply to all categorical and not prelim. Thank you.
Thanks. Ahmed, please go ahead.
So a few things about EM. So I have talked to a couple of EM PDs. So one of them actually told me that the experience you have from your house job, or if you have done any even internal medicine training in Pakistan, that is very important. So even if you have letters from there that mention you have done you have worked in the ER, that is going to be very important. So that is one thing for EM. The other thing is that always keep in mind there are combined residency programs. Like there are residency programs, IMPED's residency program, one is very famous in Oklahoma University. There are med psych residency programs, there are neuropsych, which are not that many, FM psych programs. So that is also something that you match in one specialty. You could always, with the permission of your program director, could move within the same hospital into a combined residency program or in different places. Just keeping that in mind.
Okay, so let's take
Few
few
more
There's
good
also,
questions.
there's IM Jerry as well. A lot of people don't know about it. There are only 10 internal medicine geriatric programs in the country. The big issue with all these combined programs is because they stem from internal medicine, most of these programs are in highly competitive programs. They will not take a resident who is subpar to their other residents because they're heavy on ICU rotations and stuff. So if you get into an IM Jerry program, for example, you're still going to have to be pretty competitive to get into UT Southwestern or Wisconsin. So these combined programs that are internal medicine based are actually very, very difficult to get into.
So there are some questions that are popping up. What is a preliminary year in internal medicine or surgery? Preliminary year is essentially like your intern year where you commit to staying in the field for 1 year and then decide what you need to do further. Do you want to do categorical, which is like a complete package of training? Versus just doing the intern year and then choosing your next steps. It is required for certain fields, like, if you want to do neurology, you need an internal IM prelim year. If you want to do plastics, you need a prelim year for surgery. So there are different combinations, which is kind of like your basis of going into a further field versus some people using it as a time to learn. And if they're interested in pursuing that field further. There are some questions that are asking, like, can I match into dermatology or ophthalmology in SOAP? Please read about the specialties in US. These
It
are
was
not
like
practical options. These are not
zero.
practical
There
options.
will be no soap for
There will be no
ophthalmology and
spots.
No
There will
soap,
be
no
dermatology.
soap.
AMGs
I
who will go
mean,
match in these fields.
there's
Please
like, I
be
mean, less
realistic.
than 1%
Ophthalmology
and
has a
generally
different match,
chance.
San
Yes.
Francisco match.
That's
The
very
ophthalmology,
cute.
Exactly.
urology, they don't follow the
Yeah.
NRMP match.
So I would highly encourage to read about all these fields, please, because
Yeah.
looks like you're underprepared. Being prepared is better
Yeah.
than
Exactly. Yes.
because these specialties don't. It's very difficult. You will have to match and main match for these. There is no other way for these.
There's no other way.
There is a very good question. Umar Bhai mentioned that apply to certain amount of programs. But what is your ideal strategy? There are 3 rounds of SOAP. Should we go 15, 15, 15, or should we just go apply upfront and then keep a handful of programs in your hand in case you need them in the next round?
So, can you hear me, Kulris?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So yes, I'll tell you that 95 to 99% of people who match in SOAP, they match in first and second rounds. There is absolutely no reason to hold 5 to 10 programs. I would say apply to all 45.
Yeah,
If you
I
want to
agree.
take a risk, just keep 3 to 5 just because you don't want to listen to what we are saying. But I would never recommend, that hold spots for the future rounds. If you don't match in first or second round, that's it. It's like, I haven't heard any. I've seen American graduates match, but I've never seen a Pakistani graduate match in third or fourth round. Thank you.
Azuba, your thoughts on this?
Yes, definitely. Can you hear me? Yeah,
Yes.
so I really think that to answer that LOR thing, that if you don't have LOR of a specific specialty, I really think that applying, because programs are desperate too at that time. So I would agree on that too. And uh, holding on to spots, I think that I held on to 3 spots just to see if I know someone in a particular program who could give in a good word for me. So that would be like hold spots if you know
Maybe
someone in the
like
program. So I held 3 spots of the 45 spots that I had to apply, just to see if I could reach out to a senior or a friend who could give in a good word for me in the program. I think that's the only reason. Otherwise, I would agree with Dr. Tarak that go full on, apply to everything.
And I agree with this. I think keeping
Yeah.
1 to 3 spots is more than enough. Please don't keep too many spots open because the chances of you matching in SOAP is highest between your first and your second round, not in the third round. So, but as Azuba kind of pointed out, like, you hear from somebody like, hey, oh, I know somebody in the program, they might have a spot, I can try to recommend you there. And you didn't apply to that program in the first place. So that is where you use that extra spot. But
Correct.
ideally, if you don't hear anything from anybody by the end of your first round, I would use those 3 spots and apply in the second round to get done with it.
Yeah. So we'll start some more questions and then we'll end. I think we'll just take 5 minutes more for questions. So any program director, what do you think? Why you did not match? I think these are good interview questions, and this we have discussed before. But why you did not match is only you can tell. I mean, we cannot tell you what to tell the program director why you did not match. But that's something that you have to figure it out. So should one apply to programs that didn't rank you high? How would you know the programs ranked you high or not? That's nothing that you cannot know this. But obviously, if you had applied, you had an interview from a program, I would definitely apply in that program because they already know you. So I definitely, if someone wants IMFM, should they
Siddiq bhai,
apply
that's
only
a
in these
very good
specialties?
question. I think we can open up the floor for it. Like, if somebody didn't rank me high enough in the first place, will they choose me again for
Yes,
the second?
100%. So my take is on, so I have seen people, so high is very subjective. So for example, you have 10 positions and somebody ranked you on number 15 or number 35. Number 15 is still very high if your program had 15 position, right? So,
Hmm.
but I mean, it's nothing is guaranteed. If you may not match, and even if you were ranked that high, because what if the first 10 people they match there, right? So
Nahin, lekin
this is
let me be
something,
clear.
yeah.
The reason they went unmatched is because they did not rank you. अगर आप भी
No,
unmatched
no,
हैं,
no.
No,
That's
no,
not
no, no,
no,
true.
no,
no,
no.
That's
no,
not
So
true.
no, no,
That is
let me
not
tell you
true.
no.
that. Let me hear me out.
No, you were
So if they
ranked,
would
but
have ranked
you
you,
You would
if they would,
did it.
so hear me out just a second.
Okay, go
If
ahead,
you
go
went
ahead.
unmatched and the program went unmatched, both had open positions.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah,
st
yeah, for sure. Yes,
I
yes, you're
so
right.
see.
you need to
You're
understand
right.
this aspect. If the program had ranked you and you
Yeah,
went unmatched, that means they never ranked you.
yes, that's
You
true.
need
That's
to
true. But it's
understand this
still,
whole perspective. Like,
you're right
ये
on that.
program वो program नहीं है जो कि match हो गया. ये
Correct,
वो
correct,
प्रोग्राम है जो
correct,
कि सोप पे जा रहा है. It has open spots right now. हाँ, लेकिन
correct.
उस प्रोग्राम के अगर प्रीलिम के अंदर स्पॉट्स हैं और अगर आप मैच नहीं हुए, then it makes sense because प्रीलिम की लिस्ट डिफरेंट होती है प्रोग्राम्स की, लेकिन अगर
Well,
कैटेगोरिकल की उनकी
provided
अनमैच,
provided the candidate didn't apply for prelim. If they
हाँ,
applied for both prelim categorical, then so I can tell you, this happens a lot in geriatric fellowship. कि लोग apply करते हैं, हम लोग उनको rank करते हैं, right? And let's say the Jerry fellowship, nobody matches. I had 2 spots and दोनों unfilled हैं. And we always have this discussion that when we're going through the rank order list, this person that we did not put on the list, if they apply for SOAP or post match, will we take them or not? And 99% of the time, our answer is no. If I did not put them on the rank order
Yep.
list, I will not take them. Because if I wanted them to be even the last person, I would have put them on the list.
बिल्कुल यही मैं कहना चाह रहा हूँ कि आई डोंट थिंक दिस इज अ गुड स्ट्रेटेजी इफ द प्रोग्राम जिसमें आपने इंटरव्यू किया और आप भी अनमैच गए और प्रोग्राम भी अनमैच किया, इसका मतलब
Yes.
यू वर नॉट ऑन द रैंक लिस्ट, दे विल नॉट इंटरव्यू अगेन. तो आई डोंट थिंक इट्स अ स्मार्ट आइडिया टू अप्लाई टू दोस प्रोग्राम्स अगेन बिकॉज दे डिड नॉट लाइक यू इन द फर्स्ट प्लेस. लेकिन अगर ऐसा हो कि एक प्रोग्राम है जिसने आपको कैटेगोरिकल के लिए इंटरव्यू किया है और उसके अंदर वो कैटेगोरिकली फुली मैच किया, लेकिन आपका वहां पे प्रीलिम स्पॉट ओपन है, तो आप प्रीलिम स्पॉट में ट्राई कर सकते हो क्योंकि दे लाइक यू, दे
Yes.
एक्सटेंडेड एन इंटरव्यू. इट्स पॉसिबल कि यू डिड नॉट मेक द कट ऑफ दैट लिस्ट फॉर द कैटेगोरिकल स्पॉट एंड दे माइट बी इंटरेस्टेड इन एक्सटेंडिंग यू प्रीलिम स्पॉट. आई थिंक Arsalan has thoughts on this as well. Arsalan?
Yep. Now I have a little thought on the previous question जो किसी ने पूछा था कि why I am not matched. Basically, let me tell you an interesting example. What happened is, और ये है कि I believe that self-awareness is the most important thing here. तो अगर आप match के दिन unmatch जा रहे हैं, so your make and break on the SOAP is that you should have an answer that why it happened. Basically, giving you an example, one of my friend got matched in SOAP and जब उसका SOAP में interview आया, उसके main match में कोई interview नहीं आया था. So he got an interview in the match, and when we were doing the interview preparation, I said like what to prepare, and he says, to prepare that why you didn't get an interview in the main match or why you think you didn't match. So he find out that he was doing an ophthalmology training in Pakistan, and I think majority people, when they were looking his application, they found that there's a change in specialty, so he didn't get the chance. What he prepared in the SOAP is this specific question that why I chose from ophthalmology to internal medicine. And he told in that SOAP interview that no one I had this reason to change the specialty, but no one gave me an opportunity to explain this. And now I am getting an opportunity, so I'm explaining why I changed it, and he actually got matched there. So just remember कि जैसे ही आपका match result आता है, God forbid you're not matched, just do quick self-awareness, talk to your mentor, see where it went lost, and then, when you get an opportunity, that's where is your win situation. Ji.
Yeah.
I think Umar Bhai
Agreed.
has thoughts on the question that I kind
Yeah,
of had.
Omar, go ahead.
Gee, Gulrez, a couple of things I agree. Just a quick thing. I was based in California when I was applying for match, and something similar happened with me. I wasn't getting a lot of East Coast interviews, and I called them and asked them, Bhai, can you consider me for an interview? And the response was, well, California people typically don't come to East Coast. And I'm like, no, I'm an IMG. Look at my application a little more carefully. So sometimes these biases are there that, if you have a CV filled of a specialty or a location-based biases, programs have these biases. Couple of pointers that I want to quickly talk about. These are important, and I haven't heard those being talked about. Don't sit and wait for an offer. If you get an offer, I very highly recommend you to take it, accept it. Most of the times you have those 2 hours. I think the timeline is 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 6 o'clock. You have 2 hours, and if in those 2 hours, you get multiple offers. Once you accept one, the other one automatically goes away. But don't sit if I wouldn't. A bird in hand is better than two in the bush. If somebody's telling you, oh, the X program is going to make you an offer, don't wait and reject an offer in hand because somebody told you that they will send an offer. If you receive an offer, just accept it right away. That's just my recommendation. Unless you're looking between prelim surgery and internal medicine categorical.
Okay, so I think we'll just take quickly questions, the last few ones. So if somebody has didn't start residency and apply for match and recently started residency, should we mention it in personal statement? 100%, yes. The residency is the most important thing in your CV, so you should mention it wherever you can. I have applied for IM and I decide to apply for FM SOAP. Parts, is it recommended to justify why I'm switching? I think we have answered it already, that it is recommended to justify, right? I want to ask if I have FMLORs from internal medicine physicians, ID and nephro, not from FM physicians, should I apply for FM?
So
So
family
yeah.
medicine, Dr. Sadiq, is I can tell you most J1s, the good family medicine programs require a year of US clinical experience. If you don't have that, and if you can make a case for why nephrology and those internal medicine will help you as a family medicine doctor, you need to explain that in your personal statement. Because most of them are going to be, it's very hard to find family medicine experience in Pakistan. So they do expect कि आपका experience जो है वो different होगा, but you have to explain it. You know, how did the experience in nephrology or whatever else you did help you as a family medicine person?
Great. And I've mentioned it multiple times. You're not going to take any anonymous questions. The last one would be if you've applied in internal medicine and you want to apply for pathology now, what are the chances in SOAP? You see, there are literally no chances in pathology as of last few years. There's going to be only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots. And with no CV in pathology, you'll have no chance. But again, if you want to pursue, you have all internal medicine CV, so you should rather apply in those specialties in SOAP. And last, we have just questions are non-stop. How do we answer why we are choosing prelim position for a specialty that our CV not justify?
I
That
So I
should be
think
think we've
easy,
yeah,
discussed.
we
right?
said it
That
in the
should be very
process and we
easy. You're
just
doing
went
a
over this.
prelim position because
Yeah,
you're trying to get experience, or you want to
and we
learn
discussed
and
this a
you want
lot.
an opportunity to show your strength. I mean, there's so much you can write.
Siddiq bhai, let's wrap up. Let's we can take
Chale.
start taking
Chale,
thoughts.
see, so this is about it. So any last comments? I'll start with Azuba. Closing remarks.
Yes, I agree with everything, and I really think going into SOAP with a positive mindset is very important because an opportunity at hand is better than having no opportunity. So, all the best to
What was
everyone.
your backup plan, Azuba?
My backup plan was research, as you mentioned, and happy
Did you
Women's
already
Day.
did you
And
already
happy
have a
Women's Day.
position? Yeah, but did you already have something in line?
Yes, I had a spot
There
at
you
Mayo
go.
Clinic,
Yeah,
Rochester. I already had a spot, so it was my backup. My backup was
mashallah.
research.
Good job.
Great,
Awesome.
good. Munis, closing remarks from you.
Yeah, I think just stay active during the process, and then please don't email or call the program directors or program coordinators again. It will be a big issue if someone do it. I know it will be a desperate situation, but that's okay. You're not going to die if you don't match. But please don't do this. Thank you. Well.
Great, yeah, I think good point. You're not gonna die if you don't match. I mean, this is not the end of the world, guys. Please understand, okay, it is very important for everyone to match, but I mean, you need to have that support system. Arslan, do you have last remarks?
Yep. Just kind of, one comment before एक question पीछे आया था family medicine, internal medicine वाला, and I'm sorry, I think I got a fire alarm here. खुरम भाई किसी और को कह दे, इधर बहुत noise होगी.
Sure.
फिर
We
मैं
can't
वापस नहीं
Umar,
आता.
oh, okay. We can't hear it.
Do you have something? Closing remarks?
Gee, so I'll just say, pray to Allah, have faith in yourselves, and like pointed out, it's not the end of the life. Every year, I see so many exceptional candidates who don't match a year before or 2 years before, and they match every year. The percentage of repeat applicants every year is 20 to 30%. So just in case if the scramble SOAP doesn't work for you, just know there is a very high chance that you can match next year because you're going to work on your problems. Try your best for SOAP. Have faith in Allah. Don't lose hope. Thank you.
Great.
उमर
Gulrez?
आपने तो शायद आफरीदी वाली बात कर दी.
हमारी अपनी लाइफ उसी
Hope not
फलसफे
out.
पे
Hope
चल रही
not out.
है. वो तो हमारे चैनल का भी वही है ना, मोटो नेवर लूज होप नेवर गिव अप.
Amin. Inshallah. Inshallah.
Gulrez, do you want to say something?
I have no further thoughts. Just be positive. Make loads of prayers. Again, I feel like there is a lot of emphasis on matching into US right this moment because it's their ultimate dream. I understand everyone has dreams, but this is not the end of the world. At times, it's just not your time. Your time will come.
Inshallah.
Be active. Prepare for next time. Work in Pakistan or anywhere else. Look into UK, but continue to work. Don't slump down completely that I didn't match, go into depression and leave everything behind. Your passion was to be a physician first, then become a US graduate. So make sure that you work on those goals, be a physician, remain active clinically, build your CV, and come back stronger.
Great. Namira?
I will say something in addition. I think that all of you at this point should have a backup. Your backup can be training in Pakistan, your backup can be training in the UK, and your backup can be research. But you must have a backup. Inshallah, if you match, that's great. You don't need it. If you don't match, you apply for SOAP, you still need a backup. We heard from Azuba. I feel like you all think that all the people who are sitting here did not go through any hardship. And it's easy for us to tell you that it's not the end of the world. We've all been through it. If we didn't go through it residency, it was during waiver, it was something else. We've all had some story. That's one lesson I learned, that if you have a backup, then you're a little bit more relaxed going in to the match and into the SOAP. And also, I know I will post any internal medicine unfilled positions that I become aware of. I will not do favors and send them to people. Do not email me, do not text me. I will post everything in the forum. Everybody will have an equal chance to apply for them. So follow the direction. Don't ask me, should I do this? Should I do that? I'm just a messenger. So inshallah, good luck to all of you. I agree. Pray, whoever you pray to, and you will come out successful one way or the other.
Great. Thank you. Arslan?
Thank you, Kurun bhai. Definitely agree with everyone. मैं थोड़ा सा एक बात पहले वाली से करना चाहता हूँ, and then moving forward my last comment. So basically एक बात याद रखिएगा कि shifting specialty is not an easy task. So for example, अगर आपकी CV जो है वो internal medicine बनी हुई है, and then you are switching into family medicine, pathology, ये हम आपको बता तो रहे हैं, but just be mindful that there are two different personalities that you have to become. आपको एक क्या कहते हैं पर्सनैलिटी में सेटल होना इतना मुश्किल काम है कि आप इंटरनल मेडिसिन शो करते हैं, बट ऑल ऑफ अ सडन सोप में आपको फैमिली मेडिसिन बनना पड़ता है, which has a completely different lifestyle, it's a completely different thing. So just be mindful that when you are doing an interview in another specialty that was not your primary specialty, that will not be easy, and you have to know a lot about that specialty in order to become that person and show them that you will do good in that. Now, last comments basically, mere yahi hai, as everyone says, prepare well. My suggestion is always ke aap prepare for the worst rahe. You will never be wrong. So, I personally don't like a lot of people saying ki ye mera match hai, na hua to I'm just done with it. You have done so much effort. You are at the, I would say bottleneck, and then there is a slight hike that you have to do, and then you have to see the summit. And I'm telling you right now, sitting up in here, that the view from the summit is beautiful. So don't die on the bottleneck. So, try your best, but be prepared for the worst, and good luck.
Great. 100% agree with everyone what you have said. I mean, bottom line remains the same. What Namira mentioned is like, yes, we have all been through these hardship. I mean, for example, I'm not going to give you my examples, but just like I've been through hardship, like literally at every single step of this pathway. But here I am, nobody knows what I went through, and so on and so forth, any of us. But I strongly believe that a backup plan is a must, and what I have seen in my experience, the best backup plan is home country residency, and there are so many reasons because of that, that no matter what you do, you got to see and believe in the numbers. They don't lie. Your chances of match are 50, 55, less than 60%. And then repeat applicants, like Umar mentions, 20, 30%. So meaning half of those guys, they don't even come and apply. You need to have, I've seen people like 5 years, 10 years down, and they still do not have started a home country residency. They're nowhere. Again, you're a physician. The best thing that you can do is at least have something in your hand. So in Pakistan, I mean, there are so many people in Pakistan having a good life. So at least you'll have something. I've also seen like people who have even finished their training. Eventually, they got into residency here also, or if not, then they got into fellowships. And it's not that hard. I do not know personally anyone, not a single person. I mentor a lot of people. I do not know a single person who did not get into fellowship if after finishing their residency from home country, Pakistan or wherever. And also postdoc and research people, do that as backup. So I know for sure that postdoc is very important for surgery, but it may not be that important. For example, family medicine is not going to help you. So sometimes in other specialties, I've seen pathology. If you have home country pathology residency, 100% chance of matching versus you have a postdoc, and so on. So again, bottom line is that you have so many resources now that just about 10 years ago I did not, and most of us did not have those. So you have way too
Mm-hmm.
many resources. The replies that you
Mm-hmm.
are getting from mentors, and having the mentor is going to be most important thing, I think. But it doesn't mean that you just um, and how do you get to those mentors? Like for example, I give people these days, most of the kids we have seen, they feel they are just privileged and it is their right to get a reply from any of us. It is just birthright that if you don't reply. Unfortunately, last year 700 plus Pakistanis matched. Guess how many people filled to sign up as a mentor? Less than 10%. Less than, not even 70 people who matched, who more than 50% of you guys were helped by YPC or someone, is still less than 10% said, decided that they'll pay back. So this can only grow when everyone comes in as a community and you have a great resource in YPC and so on and so forth. Keeping hope is should be there, keeps your hope high, but knowing the numbers, I mean, again, you knew your chances were of matching were 50-55%, and now you were like going into depression. So if you are that personality, you should have a good support system, good the family that can support you, the friends that can support you, and the mentors that can support you and tell you the reality. If anyone tells you कि नहीं नहीं लगे रहो हो जाएगा बस हो जाएगा and हो जाएगा तो क्यों नहीं हुआ, I mean there's no answer to that. Even for soap, keeping the hope high, 5 to 15% is a good number, meaning you do have a chance to match, but it's not 100% chance, and that is the reality. So just keep those things in mind. And this webinar is already recorded, and if you did not understand anything, you can always go back and ask questions. We wish you the very best, and I hope nobody really has to see soap, but we know that most of you will eventually have to. So prepare well, feel free to ask questions and help each other. Good luck, everyone, and